So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to the greatest watch market update show in the world. Unbelievable but true, but me and Kino always, and I mean always, sweet kid Kino and I try to bring you what's really happening out there in the Muppet Boiler Room secondary great watch market. Unbelievable but true, but we do, unbelievable. And ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about something that is very important that you guys should all hear. You know, unbelievable. Today, Kino has some information that he wants me to share with you guys, and I will be doing that today too. Unbelievable, this Kino. Sweet kid Kino, unbelievable. He's becoming a true professional in this watch industry. And his name is getting well known throughout the watch community and the watch industry. And I'm talking about real big watch brands are already knowing who Kino is. Unbelievable, that Kino, what he's doing, unbelievable. And ladies and gentlemen, before I get into that watch market update, I also want you guys to know that our watch group, our private watch group is really blowing up. If you guys really want to join it, please follow those pictures there and you might get accepted by no other than Mr. Sweet Kid Kino. Unbelievable. Kino has lately had to, decline a lot of people that have requested to join the group, but Kino says no can do, no good. 3 weeks Facebook, a year Facebook, four friends in the group, so Kino's is like that, Kino's stupid like that, he's very stupid like that. Well, I'm stupid too, but Kino's stupid like that, If he doesn't see too much movement in your page, he doesn't want the monkey business. No wishy-washy in our channel. But you may follow us and maybe Kino will let you in. Anyway, guys, before I get into that watch market update, let's go into our magical intro. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with the watch market update. But before I get into the watch market update with prices, I have a watch market update story to tell you. And especially I want you young gents to hear this story because it's an unbelievable story. Several years back, we had this thing going on called a Corona. And if you guys don't know what the Corona is, it's not the Corona beer, If you don't know what the Corona is, you Google it. You must Google it to find out what the Corona is. So we had this Corona thing going around. And people were buying watches left and right. I've never seen the watch market act the way it acted back with the Corona era. People were buying $600,000 watches, $700,000 watches, 500, 300, 200, 100, 70, 80, whatever. They were just going bananas. And people were going crazy. And this story is about a gentleman that he was a very smart young man that went to school and he became a professional. And he was working in this company for several years, let's say for 8 to 10 years, working in the company. He was doing real well. And when he came out of the university with his degree, he was working in this company and they were paying him, I believe, $1.50, $1.25. And if you guys don't know what $1.50 or $1.25 is, $125,000, $150,000 a year. Unbelievable. The kid was making sweet money. He was doing really well. So this thing called the Corona came around and, the people in the TV told us that we had to go home and be in seclusion, they put us in seclusion. We were listening to everything they were telling us in TV. So we did it. We went home and we were there. They told him that he had to go home and work from his house from the computer. He worked in the computer. So, he went home, he got what they were telling him to get. He got the jab a couple of times. He got booster shots. He got so many booster shots. Like me, I got booster shots. I got a finger that's going in my back. Unbelievable, fingers going in my back. I don't know if that happened because of all the boost and, all the jabs that I took, but I got a finger that's growing in my back. Unbelievable. So let's go back to the gentleman. So he was working out of his house. This young kid was, like I'm saying, he was a professional, making nice money, living comfortable, had his own place. He was independent. And so that Corona came around and he was working from home. So he had, he had all the day, he had all day, every day to do whatever he wanted. He cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He worked a couple hours on the computer and did a little bit of internet surfing. And, the days went by and the months went by, and 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, and you're scratching your head. You're bored because you are in seclusion, The TV told you had to stay home. So he started, surfing and looking at at YouTube, and he saw these channels about Muppet Boiler Room, secondary gray watch market dealers and channels selling watches left and right. And he got intrigued watching these videos of all these Muppet Boiler Room channels, promoting their channel, promoting their companies and selling watches and all these things. And he was mesmerized. He was really taken. I mean, he thought he was running with the Grateful Dead, watching these channels. Unbelievable. And the more he looked at it, the more he was getting addicted to these channels, to these Muppets, Unbelievable. They were there the whole day. You had channels left and right, and he was watching them. He was watching more watch videos than even working. He got addicted to this. And he was intrigued that these people were buying watches for $25,000 and selling them for $100,000, and watches for $100,000 and selling them for $400,000. And he couldn't believe it. He was idolizing all these Muppet Boiler Room channels. Like, he was watching the gentleman with the trucking sweat stained hair with the jumbo whiteout ears, with the skin tight leotard jeans, 4 feet 11 inches, small feet, small hands, and he was addicted to him. And he heard that gentleman say that watches were a better investment than real estate. And this young man that, graduated and with a degree, and he was a professional, he couldn't believe what he was hearing. And then he heard the other two gentlemen, the two toddler body brothers, and we're talking about Patek Philippe that cost $34,000 and selling them for $300,000. He couldn't believe it. And he also saw the Walrus Fat Bastard, and he was just going crazy, watching these people driving unbelievable orange go fast cars, green go fast cars, steak dinners, with salt. And he was just unbelievable the whole day at home on lockdown, just on lockdown, watching all these videos. And he was addicted. And then he started watching the gentleman, that gentleman, Deputy Droopy Butthole Eyes with the Tweety Bird haircut, and his sidekick, Jiminy Cricket, unbelievable, with the Chia Pet spray can hair. Unbelievable. He was going nuts. He was just going nuts watching all these videos. He was intrigued. He couldn't believe these people, to him, they were like movie stars. And he was reaching out to them, sending them comments and sending them, messages by email. And he wanted to meet him, and he wanted to, so he did all those things. And he was asking for prices, and he wanted to buy a watch. And finally, he goes and he meets one of these Muppet Boiler Room dealers and channels, and they talk in person. And he said, "Yeah, it's me. I'm the one that sends you the emails and the texts." He became a fanboy. He became a fanboy of these Muppet Boiler Room secondary gray watch market channels and dealers. He became a fanboy. Unbelievable. This is the way the story he tells me, and I'm going to repeat it exactly the way he says it. There's even funny parts into his story of so much of addiction that he had. So he goes and he meets one of these flim-flammers, one of these hoodwinks and hucksters, and he meets him in one of the shows. And says, "So listen, so what's going on? You're asking so many questions back and forth. I answer them. What's going on? Or, what is it that, you want to do?" He says, "Oh, I want to buy a watch, but I just want to know more." "Well, right now there's a watch that's really, really, really hot, and it's going to get discontinued. And when it gets discontinued, it's going to go all the way up, like the song, all the way up to $500,000. And you know what watch that was that he was talking to him about? It was the John Mayer, the Rolex green down, yellow gold John Mayer, the the John Mayer. And the kid was unbelievable. And he says, so, that's the watch you should look at. And the kid tells them, the young man tells them, I have a problem that all my money is tied up. He says, what do you mean all your money's tied up? Yeah, all my money is in my 401k. And the flim-flammer tells him, listen, your money in the 401k ain't producing for you nothing. Watches are a better investment than real estate. If I was you, I would just, take all your money out of that 401k and buy watches. And the kid was unbelievable. He thought he was talking to Tony Robinson. Tony Robinson, the guy that says, fire walking the fire, jumping the fire. Unbelievable, He thought he was talking to Tony Robinson. Unbelievable. These flim-flammers had this young man freaking out, and the young kid says, for real? He says, yes. And I can tell you more watches that are just going to jump up in prices. But I'm going to tell you one right now, which is that Rolex yellow gold green dial John Mayer is going to jump up in price. It's going to blow up. And so if I was you, I would just go up there and, and cash out all your money for your 401k. And exactly, the young man went to his 401k and he was going to pull out the money he had. Let's say he had over $500,000 in his 401k. Unbelievable, sweet kid, real hardworking, dress, business shirt, tie, slacks, unbelievable. So he goes to cash out, but there's a catch. When you're going to cash out your 401k, this an example again, if you have $500,000, right? You're going to pay at 35% taxes on that $500,000. That's right. $500,000, you're going to pay at 35%. So you're going to pay Uncle Sam's out of that $500,000, $175,000. That's right. You're going to pay Uncle Sam's $175,000. You're not going to get $500,000. You're going to get $325,000 after the taxes. You pay taxes. Unbelievable. So he did that. Right off the bat, he's already losing $175,000. So he goes with his $325,000 that he has left over after paying his taxes. He goes to buy the John Mayer, the Rolex, yellow gold, green dial John Mayer. Unbelievable. Take a look at the picture of that John Mayer. There it is right there, as you can see it. Unbelievable looking time machine. And he paid for that watch $110,000. That's right. And he was the happiest guy in the world with his beautiful green dial, yellow gold John Mayer. Unbelievable. And in his mind, they already told him this watch is going to reach the stars, between $400,000 and $500,000 is going to hit when it gets discontinued. He was going crazy. I got my money ready right there. I got my money. I got my money just in this watch. I have it. So he goes to another one because he's reaching out to all of them. He's calling the two toddler body brothers. He's calling the Indian brothers. They're like around, I don't know, like 7 Indian brothers. They sell watches too. Unbelievable, those kids. Unbelievable. He's calling the Walrus Fat Bastard. He's calling Jiminy Cricket. He's calling, he's just calling everybody, and he's just connected with all these dealers, because he's addicted to all these videos that he's watching from these people. Unbelievable. And it is the next watch that he's looking at, and they're telling him it's going to be discontinued, and it's unbelievable, and it's going to go to $300,000. And this watch is the Rolex Rose Gold Olive Green Dial. And they're telling him this is the watch you need to buy because this watch is going to go up there, up there, up there. And he also buys that olive green dial. Take a look. She got the olive green dial. It's unbelievable looking time machine. Unbelievable looking time machine. And he pays for that olive green dial, rose gold, Rolex date, $80,000. That's right, $80,000. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, he really thought he was in their group. He belonged with them. He loved them. He worshiped them. He was a fanboy. I mean, he tells me that if anybody will talk bad about them in the YouTube videos, he would argue. He became a keyboard warrior defending, all these flim-flammers, Deputy Droopy Butthole Eyes with the Tweety Bird haircut. He started defending the two toddler body brothers, You know, he started defending the gentleman with the jumbo whiteout ears and the sweat-stained trucking hat and the leotard skin-tight jeans, 4 feet 11 inches, small feet, small hand. He was defending the Walrus fat bastard. He was everywhere. He was telling me all these stories. He was unbelievable. He was addicted to these people. Unbelievable. You know, unbelievable. He tells me at one moment, that he started worrying. You're not going to believe this. That he started worrying. He started wearing unbelievable hoodies. He started wearing hoodies and he started wearing ripped, broken jeans with Nike sneakers because he wanted to be exactly like them. He wanted to join their club. He felt like he was looking at Tony Robinson walking on fire. Unbelievable, but true. I mean, you hear this young man's story and it's unbelievable. And he's there and he has his $325,000 and he already has purchased the Rolex John Mayer yellow gold with a green dial. He purchased the Rolex date rose gold with an olive green dial. And now they're telling him that the next watch he has to buy is the Rolex yellow gold GMT 50th anniversary discontinued. Unbelievable. So this young man was basically, he was being real hoodwinked. He was being hoodwinked by these flim-flammers. And me and Kino was seeing things were happening already, in the watch market. Things were not running right. They were running funny, So he goes ahead and he buys the Rolex GMT yellow gold green dial. Take a look-see at it. Unbelievable looking time machine. And he pays for that watch. Unbelievable. He pays for that watch $65,000. Unbelievable, but true. Unbelievable. I mean, this kid, like I said again, he was dressing just like them already, He had the hoodie, Supreme hoodie. He had the ripped jeans, he wanted to be. He was turning in his business white shirt and tie and slacks for a hoodie and ripped jeans and Nike sneakers and a diamond necklace. Unbelievable. He wanted to be them. He tells me that he was being real, when he started watching my videos, he said that he couldn't believe that I was describing him, that he was that poster child of being a window licker, a lollipop sucker, a tomato can, that was him. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He took all his money out of the 401k to purchase watches from all these flim-flammers. Unbelievable. Unbelievable true. So again, he already has the Daytona. He already has the date. He already has the GMT. And now they're telling him there's another watch that discontinued is going to blow up in price. And that is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. The jumbo stainless steel with a blue dial. And that watch is going to go up all the way up, like the song, all the way up to $500,000. Unbelievable. And the kid buys the 15202 Royal Oak Jumbo Blue Dial for $90,000. Unbelievable. He even had to take money from his savings that he had to complete, because he had only $325,000. And I believe the total of all those watches that he purchased were like $350,000. I really don't know. You guys do the, you do the add up, add up the situation, So this kid was addicted. He really wanted to be them. He wanted to look like them. He wanted to act like them. And like I said again, he defended these flim-flammers to the end. And things just went south. Things went bad. Right now, all those watches that he purchased, I can tell you that the Rolex yellow gold green dial Daytona, I'm going to have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay more, and I mean don't pay more than $56,000, $55,000. That's right. That Rolex date rose gold olive green dial that he paid, I think, $80,000. Don't pay more than $39,000 and dropping. Unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. So you can see it already, you know. He bought the Daytona for $110,000. He bought the date for $80,000. And he also bought the GMT for $65,000. The yellow gold with the green dial GMT. Discontinued 50th anniversary. I'm gonna have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay. I mean, you guys do whatever you want. I mean, do whatever you want, but don't pay more than $38,000. And unbelievable. And also that Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Jumbo Stainless Steel Blue Dial. You bought it for $90,000, and I'm gonna have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, don't pay more than $40,000. And unbelievable but true. So you saw what he paid, and you saw what those watches are today. So when he pulled out, when he cashed out of his 401k, he paid to Uncle Sam's $175,000 in taxes. And as you can see, what he paid for the watches was a total of, like, say, the ones that he purchased over $350,000, right? Those watches are worth today $170,000, if that. Those 4 watches are worth $170,000. He knows. He tells me that he knows that he's never gonna get that money back ever again. He's right. You're never gonna get that money back. Maybe in 20 years from now you get it back, but now you're not gonna get it back. The moral of the story is, for you young gents out there, do not touch your 401k to buy watches. Don't listen to these flim-flammers, these spoofballs, these hucksters, these hoodwinks. These guys are cockroaches. These guys prey on people like that young man that today, thank God, he's woken up. But he was there. He was an addicted. He got home, and the first thing he did was watch all those videos, because they were telling him that, you know, watches were a better investment than anything else. And he believed it. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of people out there that did touch their 401k to buy watches. You know, unbelievable. The only part is that I even laughed with him when he told me, Juan, I felt like I was one of them. I was already wearing hoodies, you know, Supreme hoodies, ripped jeans with Nike sneakers. I couldn't believe he told me that. But we were laughing together when he was telling me that. He says, I was the poster child of being a lollipop sucker and a window licker. When I would see your videos, I go, oh my God, he is describing me to the T. So you guys have to be very, very careful when you're watching all those videos. Those videos are very, very addicting. They're very, very addicting, so you got to watch out. When you're looking at Deputy Droopy Butthole Eyes with the Tweety Bird haircut, you got to be very, very careful, because they're going to get you. You're going to be mesmerized. Come to me, come to me. You got to be careful. And when you're looking at Jiminy Cricket with the Chia Pet hairspray, you know, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be careful with the Indian boys, with all those flashy things that they put on you. That's all a fantasy. You're looking at channels, they're make-believe subscribers, make-believe likes, make-believe views, make-believe comments. You know, these guys, this is all a sketch. So you young man out there got to be very, very careful. This young man learned his lesson. He learned his lesson. He must have lost, he says to me, I must have lost like $400,000. That's right. He lost like $400,000 in a matter of a year. You know what $400,000 is? It's a whole lot of money. So you got to stop watching these channels. They're giving you mooch. You know what mooch is? A lot of mooch in your head. You know, mooch. You know what the dogs do, what the horses do, you know, mooch. You know? And be careful, smelly, you know? Ladies and gentlemen, the watch market is dead. The watch market is dead on a backyard pool and floating face down. Unbelievable. I just can't get over that he said that he wanted ready to dress like them and wear a hoodie with a Supreme, you know, Montclair, you know, ripped jeans. I couldn't believe he said, you know, unbelievable, unbelievable. So you guys got to watch it. You guys got to watch it. Do not touch your 401k. And ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. Watches are not a better investment than real estate. Don't be lollipop suckers. Don't be window lickers. Don't be tomato cans. And especially don't be crayon eaters. That's all a lie. All right? Don't let these cockroaches, these monkeys, you know, monkeys fool you. Understand me? Don't let them fool you. The watch market is suffering. They want you guys to keep on maintaining them on your dime. On your dime. Understand me? I hope this, you know, gives you some kind of direction and you don't become that window flavor lollipop sucker and go out and pull out all your money out of your 401k to buy watches. All right? Hope this helps you out. I really do. Also, that Miami watch show was dead. The Miami watch show was totally dead. There were dealers taking pictures from their booth and sending them out to watch groups to try to entice people to come into the show and buy watches because they were dead. It was totally dead. All right? I hope, you know, this helps you out. Use all this, you know, to your benefit. And let them know out there that the watch market is dead. All right? Let them know. Don't be that gentleman that he got caught on the Corona era and he was stuck at home watch videos, and he was doing things that were, I mean, he thought he was running with the Grateful Dead. Unbelievable, but true, unbelievable. So ladies and gentlemen, there it is. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share our video and like our video. And like me and Kino say every week, take care and brush your hair.
Here we are at El Conquistador. Jakey Jake. Show them all the pools we have here.
We have a big pool, we have a little pool, we have a medium pool, we have another pool.
And we have a beach down there.